We've all heard the story of giving to Caesar what is Caesar's and giving to God what is God's. So I chose not to go that route today. I believe there's other things that today are an important thing to focus on. Every day, the news seems to overwhelm us with the stories of nations, organizations, and individuals all struggling to achieve more of something. More power, more attention, more notoriety. Lately, I open the newspaper or turn on the television quite hesitantly, wishing that today would be the day that there was no more bad news. A day when everyone out there was just content with what they have and how things are. But let's be realistic. Since the beginning of time, there's always been someone who wanted more and appreciated less. There's a natural drive that seems to be deep-rooted in our spirits, a drive to move forward, to keep getting ahead of where we are right now. That drive is what allows people to work toward the more that we're all seeking. One of the challenges that we face is that you can't always be going forward if you don't take a minute to stop and realize that we need to slow down and acknowledge it wasn't all our own doing that got us this far. We have to see that it's God's power that's been the starting point of all of our progress. In order to renew and to refresh the spirit in our own lives and to spread God's power and grace, we need to create that balance between human nature and God's divine intercession. Our egos tend to push us to want recognition for what we do or who we are. And sometimes it's our own insecurities that lead us to seek reassurance, to be sure that we're on the right track. It's okay. We're all human. And that is part of human nature. The challenge to our egos comes when we need guidance that we have to accept from others to be able to make tough choices. You know what? Sometimes that's the hardest part. Letting the humility take over and the honest spirit guide us. If we can do that, it leads us back to where we started, with God. And with a humble heart, we can return our gratitude to God and re-energize our souls to move us forward again. In today's Old Testament lesson, we see Moses, one of the greatest leaders of his time, struggling with this exact balance of human nature versus divine guidance. In Exodus 33, Moses has led the Israelites out of Egypt, and now he's asking God if he plans to send a sign that will confirm to the people that he has been chosen to lead them. God assures Moses that he is in God's favor, but Moses seems to need a little bit more than that. Moses wants there to be a visible sign from God that proves to the Israelites for certain that God has chosen him. Human nature is pushing him to seek more recognition. And in his uncertainty, he needs the reassurance from God to know what to do next. Moses says, "If your presence will not go, then do not carry us up from here. For how shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people, unless you go with us?" Then God did just what Moses wanted. He gave him the reassurance and the guidance that he was seeking. And God said, I will make all my goodness pass before you and proclaim the name, the Lord. I will be gracious to whom I am gracious, and I will show mercy to whom I show mercy. God made the decision, however, that no one would see his face. Moses was placed in the cleft of the rock, and his eyes were kept from seeing God's face. Once again, God was in control, and it was God who would continue to provide Moses the guidance to help make the difficult choices that he would face. As one who knew the true significance of being thankful for the blessings he had received from God, Moses prayerfully returned his gratitude to God. The power within him that was endowed by God was renewed and rekindled. Moses could then continue on his forward progress of God's divine plan. So, let's think about this now from today's point of view. No matter how service-oriented and godly our intentions may be, it can be real easy to be motivated by human nature. We can all likely relate to the feeling of wanting to be recognized for a job well done, a project completed, a promotion earned. It's the old adage of credit where credit is due. And it seems to come from a very small voice inside that wants you to know, it was me, look what I did. Sometimes it's that same small voice inside us that needs reassurance and guidance from outside. Just like Moses, we need to know that we can turn to someone else for a second opinion, a new idea, or just a supportive spirit to help us get through. This is the point where the real question comes out. Do we look to another person we know, be it a parent, a friend, a pastor, a co-worker, or do we look to God? At that very moment, if we bow our heads and pray for God's guidance, we are taking the first step to giving him the credit that he is due. We are acknowledging that it's his divine guidance and blessing that really got us this far. When we open our hearts, God will give us the guidance that we're seeking. And with that burden lifted, we find ourselves re-energized. And, more importantly, I hope that it means we respond to him with our gratitude, returning to him the power that he bestowed on us. God is our cornerstone, and each time we remind ourselves of this and respond in thanksgiving, we strengthen his divine power in this world. Now, in concept, it all makes sense, but in the real world, it's not always that easy to achieve, is it? If a project at work has to be resolved and the situations and solutions aren't readily obvious, perhaps we do call in our co-workers to consult with, to discuss the possibilities and, weigh out the options. Maybe that helps solve it. But then again, maybe not. Many a night's sleep can be lost stressing over situations like this. For someone who truly believes in God and the power that he has in our life, now is when we ask for him in prayer. We ask God to intervene, to give us guidance, and to provide us with the reassurance we need to make the right decision. In his time, God will give us the direction we seek. Hopefully, the situation will be resolved successfully, and the time will come when someone will be stepping forward to recognize us. It's that credit where credit is due again. We all deserve to be proud of our accomplishments. But if we truly love the Lord with all of our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength, then the most humbling and Christian thing we can do is to bow our heads and to give our thanks to God the Father. If we can earnestly choose to live our lives in accordance with the direction that God has set for us, each time we return to Him our gratitude for His grace and His abundance that's been bestowed upon us, we can help to strengthen His power and His glory here and in this world. And I don't know about you, but when I look at the world out there, I think we could use all of the reassurance that God is out there with everything that happens. This I would ask in His name. Amen.